Alright, so there are some that argue that The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie ever made. I respectfully disagree. The Empire Strikes Back is one of the best movies ever made, period. Calling it the best Star Wars movie ever made is just cutting it a little short. The Empire Strikes Back. Alright, just a spoiler alert and a fair warning. I'm going to talk about The Empire Strikes Back like you either know all the spoilers in this movie or you just don't care. You have been warned. Alright, so The Empire Strikes Back takes place sometime after Star Wars, and the Empire is pursuing the rebels big time. You don't blow up the Death Star and not have the Empire be like, oh, ouch, alright. You're all dead. And this movie steps it up in just every way possible. I'm not talking special effects, even though it did have better special effects. I'm talking in terms of character development, script, execution. The stakes are higher in this one. In every way possible, it steps it up. First of all, we'll take Vader. Vader is just 100 times more evil in this one than he was in the original Star Wars movie. He did some bad things and he killed some people for sure. But in this one, he's just executing lieutenants who fail him. He's like, nope, I'm choking you with my mind until you die. No, there's no Grand Moff Tarkin to stop me this time. I'll stop when you stop moving. Like, Vader's in this hyperbaric chamber thing, you know, it's this little weird bubble thing that he kind of swivels around in, talks to his guys on the TV and chokes them with his mind, you know, it's all good. But there's this one scene where this one commander comes in, you see the back of Vader's head right before the helmet comes on, and his head is just trashed, it's all scarred up, he has no hair, and that's the first time you're like, whoa. You mean, he like needs that robot outfit, he doesn't wear it for style. Vader's actually a damaged dude, that's awesome. And he rocks it too, he's like, yeah, I know you saw that. It's no big deal. I'm just that badass. You want a scar too now because you want to be like me. So the rebels are all hanging out on Hoth. It's an ice planet, perfectly isolated. No one's going to find them there. Until, you know, the Empire does. The Empire's strolling up with their AT-AT walkers, and if they get close enough to the base, they can blow up the shield generator and the rebels are screwed. Why the Empire didn't just take a ship down just right on top of the shield generator and blow it up that way? Because we wouldn't have the battle for Hoth, duh. But you see from the opening text, not only is the Empire pursuing the rebels, but Darth Vader is pursuing Luke Skywalker with a vengeance. To the point where he's even going down on Hoth personally, and he's like, all right, let's find this guy. We're taking him down. He is mine. And that's one of the changes that I hated for the DVD version. Generally speaking, in the special edition, I had no problems with the changes they made to Empire Strikes Back. We see the Wampa. We didn't see him before. I thought that was all right. He gave the Cloud City windows. That was fine. It was less claustrophobic. It felt more open. Perfect. But in the DVD, he switched the actor who played the Emperor with Ian McDiarmid, the guy who played the Emperor in Return of the Jedi and the Star Wars prequels, which you would think would make sense, except he changed the dialogue. The dialogue was fine before and it fed into the movie. The Emperor was like, oh hey, we have a new enemy, it's Luke Skywalker, and Vader's like, yeah, I know, he's bad news, but what if he can be turned? That's why I'm doing what I'm doing after all. The new dialogue has to accommodate the prequels. Now Vader has to not even know that Luke is alive. The Emperor needs to tell him. This is the first time in the new DVD release that Vader even finds out that Luke Skywalker is this rebel who blew up the Death Star, which really brings into question, why is Vader following Luke Skywalker if he doesn't even know he's his son? Apparently he's following Luke Skywalker adamantly to the point of going down to Hoth personally to make sure that he's caught, just because, well, he's a rebel that blew up the Death Star and, you know, personal touch and all that. I need to get involved. No, it doesn't make sense. So I hated that he changed up the dialogue for the DVD release. Now, The Empire Strikes Back has a couple of my favorite moments in movie history. One of them is when Luke's hanging upside down in the Wampa cave. He's hanging there and his lightsaber's just out of reach, no way to get it. Now, we saw in the original Star Wars movie, Luke is force sensitive. He did a couple things when he was, you know, sparring with that probe, and he felt the force, you know, when he blew up the Death Star, he knew when to launch the rockets. But we never really saw him use the force to this extent. This is the first time when we saw that Luke is actually on his way to being a Jedi. He's hanging upside down, then he focuses himself and he reaches his hand over and you see the lightsaber just creep up. You know, he's using the force, he's getting the lightsaber. Lightsaber pops right out of the snow into his hands. He's back in business. It's one of my favorite moments in movie history. One of the two that's in The Empire Strikes Back. And also what I liked about this is it divides the crew. Usually a movie like this will find a way for the original crew in the original movie to all get together and have the same campaign, just in a really forced kind of way. This one's like, nope, Luke has to go to the Dagobah system to learn from Yoda. Then Han, Leia, Chewie, and the two gay robots have to escape the Empire. It's awesome, it's perfect. And the movie's set up to where you see Yoda, you don't know he's a Jedi yet, let alone a Jedi Master. And he's really testing Luke and being really annoying. He wants to test his patience to see kind of what he's made of. Luke, of course, fails miserably, as he will in every test in this movie. Then Yoda humbles down. He's like, not ready, are you? And there's a scene where Luke's like, I'm not afraid, I can learn. Yoda looks really creepy, like he's stoned and methed out, and he's like, you will be. You will be. As a kid, I was always like, Meanwhile, while Luke is on Dagobah training with Yoda himself, the one who trained Obi-Wan Kenobi, not Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know how he came up with that. It was Yoda. They told us in Empire. Han, Leia, Chewie, all of them are in Bespin, hanging out in the Cloud City with Billy D. Lando's awesome, dude. Not only is Han Solo a sweet, awesome smuggler, but we got another one? This movie just doesn't get better. We got two cool smugglers. And of course, what are friends for but to invite Han and Leia to a luncheon to hang out, just chill. We're all friends here. But Vader's there and Lando betrays him. Now, everyone gives Lando shit for this, but no one really thinks it through. We don't really know what Vader threatened Lando with. I mean, what if Vader was like, okay, you're gonna give up Han Solo or I'm gonna skin every man, woman, and child in this Cloud City until you do. At that point, what can you say except, shit, I guess so, man. I lost the can I have the Falcon back? And why does Vader want Han Solo? Well, to torture him, of course. Why? Because Luke will get visions of that and Luke will come to Vader. That's all that Vader wants. Everything Vader does in this movie is all to get Luke Skywalker. Luke's freaking out and he's like, I gotta go, I gotta help him. Yoda's like, don't do that. You're gonna make it worse. And Obi-Wan Kenobi comes down in the form of a ghost. He's like, yeah, listen to him. I believe this so adamantly that I am haunting the Dagobah system as a ghost to tell you to stay here because he's going to toast you or turn you, which is no good to anybody. The last Force user in the galaxy turns to the dark side. We don't want that. But in this movie, Luke fails every trial, so he goes to the Cloud City. Upon all this, Boba Fett's the one that actually found Han Solo and told Vader where he was. He's gonna get frozen in carbonite, which is Vader's plan to do that to Luke, but in order to test it, he doesn't want Luke to be killed, so he's gonna test it on Captain Solo. Why not? If Solo dies, he won't do it to Luke. No regard for Han Solo and his problems whatsoever. Vader's a douche in this movie. One of the best douches ever. This is one of my two favorite moments in movie history that's in The Empire Strikes Back. Han's about to get lowered down. Chewbacca starts freaking out and throwing stormtroopers everywhere, and he's screaming, he's making a ruckus. Han Solo's like, Chewie, this is not gonna help me. This won't help me. Then Han and Leia look at each other and they kiss. They're like, this is the last time they're gonna see each other. Grasp that firmly. Han's gonna get frozen in something that resembles metal. He's gonna get sold to Jabba the Hutt. They're never gonna see each other ever again. They both know this. The stormtroopers pull him back. Leia breaks and she's like, I love you. And Han Solo responds, I know. One of the best moments ever made. And actually, this is really interesting. In the script, he was supposed to say, I love you too. Harrison Ford was like, I don't think Han Solo would say that, so I'm going with I know. Director was like, yep, I'm not George Lucas. We're keeping it. And it worked perfectly. And when the smoke comes up and Han Solo's frozen in carbonite, the smoke clears and you see Vader's face coming through the smoke. I'm like, dude, that is how you portray a villain right there. That is villainy, ladies and gentlemen. And I find it fascinating that Luke squaring off with Vader for the first time is more fascinating than the Death Star assault in the first movie. I mean, you can tell Luke is green, and he pulls out his lightsaber first, which, there you go. First mistake. Striking out in anger, Luke, shame on you. You can tell Vader can waste him at any second. He's one hand blocking all his moves. He's like, you're no threat to me, dude. So Luke's fighting Vader. There's this one scene where he backs up and falls into the carbonite freezing chamber. Vader's just like, all too easy. He just activates it. I like that line too. Vader's just like, yeah, wuss. But Luke puts up enough of a fight where there's this one scene where Vader comes around a corner and he's slashing at him. You can tell he's breathing hard. He's like, I've had enough of this. I'm swinging now. I'm gonna cut something off. And he does. Luke loses his hand. Luke has failed Yoda's test. Han Solo's been frozen in carbonite. Boba Fett got away with him. And now Luke loses a hand. Can this day get any worse? Yeah, it's about to. Vader's telling Luke how important Luke is, and with their combined strength, they can rule it all. Then he cracks. He's like, all right, I'm not drilling through the wood here. He needs a bomb dropped on his lap. So does the audience. And that's when Vader's like, I am your father. And the way that music cues up right there with the Imperial March, you're like, he ain't bluffing, man. I think he's really his dad. Yeah, it's true. Vader tells Luke, we can wipe out the Emperor and rule the galaxy as father and son. Vader's like conniving. And after that, Luke does probably the smartest thing he's done in this entire movie. I mean, he's been a whiner for the past 2 movies. He's been like, you asked the impossible, Yoda. He went to the Cloud City when Yoda told him not to because things are gonna get worse. Luke looks down at this big long pit and he's like, you know what? I'm out. And he just drops. And he falls. And yeah, he tried to kill himself. He didn't know that he would by chance get sucked into a little tube that would lead to, like, the TV antennas under the Cloud City or whatever those were. Leia and Chewie and all of them, they pick him up and you don't even know yet. This is like the end of the movie. They're all standing looking at a galaxy within a galaxy. That's weird. And then the movie ends. It's done. This is like the cliffhanger of the century, or last century. Everyone ends on a low note. No one ends on a high note. The audience is left with questions and anticipation, and then it's like, boom, end credits, done. That's how you hook them. See you in 3 years. My parents always told me, they were like, yeah, when we saw that in the theaters, that everyone was like, you've got to be shitting me. No, they shit you not. That was the end of the movie. And thus is the conclusion of one of the greatest movies ever made. And it is, of course, Awesometacular. Yeah, when the Empire strikes back, oh, they strike back all right. You blow up our Death Star, I'm gonna blow up your mind. And this is what I love about The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back is the master movie on giving you enough to satisfy you, but not enough to not want more. You want more after that bite. Empire Strikes Back, guys. Watch the Star Wars movies just for The Empire Strikes Back. I'm telling you, blow your mind. When everyone says, oh, this movie's the greatest coming-of-age story ever, and they're talking about another movie other than The Empire Strikes Back, I always come back to going, nope, The Empire Strikes Back is the greatest coming-of-age story ever. So what do you think of The Empire Strikes Back? How does it compare to the other Star Wars movies? What's your favorite Star Wars movie? I probably asked you that in the other Star Wars review, but it doesn't matter. It's still relevant. It's Empire. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.